Welcome everyone to Heart of the Artist. We are so excited today to have the amazing Teresa Gallion. We are going to get into her magic, the mystery, the history, her story, where she came from, who she is, where she's going. And trust me, this woman is going places. She's been a lot of places and she's going more places. But before we start that, let's do a little housekeeping. Great, good. Somebody's coming on in. So every week I like to feature a line of the week. And our line of the week is always a poet who's going to be featuring with us coming up. This week, our line of the week comes to us from Emily Cordes. She has a new book out. It's called The Queen of Swords. It is available at redorgreenbooks.com. And it is called it's awesome. The Queen of Swords, and this line is fantastic. The poem is Mother Revolution, but this line is fantastic. My uterus spits fire like a semi-automatic. Is that why you want to regulate it? I love this line. And fantastic book. The poem is Mother Revolution. Emily Cordes, Queen of Swords. She is going to be with us February 13th. So please check her out at redorgreenbooks.com. We have a new open mic that has joined the Open Minds Open Mic Forum, and that is our open mic of the week. And Catalyst, are we calling this Slam Jam or are we calling it Not Your Average Open Mic?
I think it's the Slam Jam.
Slam Jam. Yeah. So you probably can speak a little more than I can to the format of this if you want to jump in on that.
Well, I believe there's about 8 slam poets, and there's a guest coach each week, and it's coaching, and so you can decide if you want to have some feedback or if you just want to slam it out and be like, cool, I did the time, I'm good. That's fine. Our first guest coach was CP Mays, so that was amazing.
Yes.
And then after the slam, they'll do some open mic as well. So there's a little bit of everything. That's why they were going with Not Your Average, because it's got a little bit for everyone.
So it's, if I understand it, it's slam style. It's not judged and it's not timed. It's more of an opportunity for folks who would like to participate in slam type poetry to just practice, have some fun, get a little feedback if they want it. CP Mays, like she said, was the first host, and he is absolutely amazing. He is a slam competition winner. He's definitely nationally known. He's internationally known. But this is a fantastic open mic. It's new on the Open Minds Open Mic platform. And just like this, it's a Zoom call that's then uploaded to YouTube. It's hosted by Kittay, the Poetic Cat, and Dre, and it's Saturdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time in this same Zoom call. So check that out. Super fun. Poetry contest of the week. This one's cute. The Wurgle Flomp Humor Poetry Contest. This thing has been running for 23 years, and they offer over $3,750 in prizes. There's no fee. And the deadline for it is April 1st, April Fool's Day. So get your submission into the Wurgle Flomp Humor Poetry Contest. They accept both published and unpublished works. And we have our poem of the week. This poem comes to you from the Chameleon Poetic, also known as Terry Rose Jertson. She also is going to be on the show, and that will be on March 12th that she will be with us. This poem comes to us from her book, The Chameleon Chronicles, Words Never Spoken, and it's also published by Red or Green Books. And I chose this one. I have a friend who absolutely despises going to the dentist. That's, of course, not so uncommon a thing, but I got a kick out of it when I was reading through this book. So this is called My Old Dentist, Who I Pray Is Dead. The white supremacist dentist who hates children. I know he means me harm. No remorse about filling all my teeth with silver. I want to bite his fingers as the stench of death lingers. Mercury poisoning entering my bloodstream. He has no worries or cares as I scream. My mom would not hear my pleas not to return there, to this sadistic lair. I am nothing to him but another victim, a prisoner in the chair. His specialty was drilling and filling. Kids suffered and cried as we were helpless. Spirits breaking inside, victims of a molar killer. Mother trusted doctor's lies, pillar of community, while he enjoyed his work. With needles, he would maim. He should be in jail for this crime and his ill-gotten gain, getting paid by innocent fools to be mutilated with dental tools. So that is Terry Rose Jertson, the Chameleon Chronicles, Words Never Spoken. Beautiful cover art. Oh, here we go. I don't know if you guys can see that. And also, I want to show you the cover of Emily Cortis's book. It is absolutely gorgeous. The Queen of Swords, which if you read tarot, you know the Queen of Swords is part of the tarot suits. Just beautiful cover art. So redorgreenbooks.com. Please check out those amazing artists, and I hope you will be back with us on February 13th and March 12th to meet them. But today is all about my friend Teresa Gallion, amazing artist, absolutely indefatigable. We spoke on the phone the other night, and I don't know, it was like 2 a.m. I don't know, 2 a.m. And she's just like, I'm like, gosh, Teresa, have you had a gallon of coffee? We just had the most fun. You travel, you go everywhere, you write, you are amazingly poetic. You have the best vocabulary of anybody I've ever heard in my life. You're just an amazing woman, and I'm so excited and happy to have you here today. You have a new book that's coming out very soon called Come Egypt, and I am going to read one of your poems from that book, and then we're going to jump into a conversation. So this is Teresa Gallion, The River Still Flows. My walking meditation draws me to the spirit of the Rio Grande, soothing in the morning light. I feel regal after the benediction of an Egyptian massage. No words to adequately describe the ancient hold of energy, temple ruins, and tombs, unearthed in all their glory, tease my many lifetimes sitting here beside the river. I am remarkably blessed here in the Bosque with a wave of New Mexico. Love light surrounding me, I gaze the eloquence of delightful cottonwood as it sings in green lyrics all around the river and me. I could shout my gratitude over and over again, and that would not be sufficient to express my joy to be home in my beloved New Mexico, reflecting on my journey. I touch the Rio Grande, step out of my body into the Nile River. I feel the weight of 4,000 years speak to me in tongues I can understand when it tells me I am still here. Mankind may pollute and abuse me, cause a temporary flu, but cannot destroy me. I will be here when all the pathetic souls of earth leave the planet, for I am eternal. I am the key of life. I am the fluid of life. I am the goddess of energy. I will survive another 4,000 years. I will still be here. My soul feels the cold vigor of those years, making me tremble in the magnitude of these words. It is the power of Earth to tell its story in generational waves as we repeat the cycles of life and death, and the river still flows. Coming back to my body, I sit by the Rio Grande, run my fingers across the water, feel the connection between the Nile River and the Rio Grande in the essence of a river's flow.
You know, I might have to hire you.
Teresa,
Yeah.
that
It's
is so
kind of amazing thing to hear someone read your poetry, you know. I mean that's just amazing because I can't hear my own voice, but hearing you read it and I'm hearing those words, I'm like, it's pretty good. That's pretty good.
well, thank you. I am glad you enjoyed the read. And I love reading that because I'm a water baby and I love anything water. And just listening to that, I could feel you feeling that and feeling that gratitude. I love the section where you're talking about the gratitude of both being home and remembering where you were and giving thanks for both, like simultaneously being so grateful to have both of those experiences. I just love that. And you have traveled so many places. Can you give us a little travel bio about all of the amazing places you have been?
Um, I don't know if I'll remember them all off the top of my head. I do remember because people keep asking me. So now I at least remember I've been to 17 countries.
Oh wow.
And I guess I need to make a list so I can remember. And then I'm going to see France, Italy, Greece, Iceland, Morocco, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, um, Egypt, Jordan, Australia, New Zealand, Turkey. I might have missed one. Those are all I can think of right now, but it's 17 total.
My goodness, your girl, your feet have wheels. I'm telling you what. Now you're getting ready to go somewhere else too. Where are you getting ready to go?
I'm getting ready to go to Guatemala and Costa Rica. So I'll be gone pretty much most of February and over
Mhm.
my birthday, which is
Fantastic.
February 19th. For everybody that's here next year, I'm going to be 75 years old. I am planning to celebrate the whole year. Please put me on your calendar to take me out. I'm
We
going
were
to
talking about this the other night.
start telling people over and over again, planning to celebrate the whole year. So I want people to remember that.
I love it. I love it. And your birthday is the day before mine. We were talking about that the other night.
Yeah, I
And
know. That
I'm
is
going to be
amazing.
interviewing Marianne Teft on my birthday, February 20th. So it's going to be a
Okay.
fantastic.
I'll be in Costa Rica February
You will be
20th.
in Costa Rica.
Yes,
So
because I'm gonna
have you
I'll
written
be there for my birthday.
for your birthday? I love that.
Yeah.
So have
February
you written
19th.
poetry after every trip? Has every trip been food for soul to
Most
sort
of
of
the
inspiration?
time, I do write a piece or two, but not always. I generally will start something maybe while I'm on tour, but we're moving so fast with these tours. A lot of times I don't have a lot of time, but this time I had a lot of time and when I went to Egypt because we were on the yacht, okay, for five days, which was, oh my God, absolutely amazing. And I would go back to Egypt just to spend the time on the yacht. So in the morning when we would get up early because our tour guide was getting us up early because it was hot. I was there in summer and I would write in the morning a little bit before breakfast, sitting on the deck because of the Aida, which is the name of the yacht that we were on. And there were 12 of us on this tour. So it was a wonderful bonding and our tour guide. We had 11 staff. And two of them I will never forget. Every morning after the first morning, when we'd come up the stairs from our rooms, they would be waiting there holding out whatever we drink, exactly how we drink. I was like, talk about being spoiled. And then
Yes.
I would sit down and write because I'd come up dressed until it was time for us to leave the yacht in order to go on that tour for the day. And then in the evening, I would write. I don't know. Egypt had such an impact on me. I wrote more on that trip than any trip I've ever written on. So I was writing in the morning and evening. So I started a lot of stuff. And when I came home, initially, Egypt just wouldn't let me go. So when I would be sitting on the Rio Grande River, which is here in New Mexico, I would still be writing Egypt. 2 months later, I went up for a camping trip in Colorado and I camped on the Arkansas River for 5 days and I was still writing Egypt. So and on into that first year, which was 2022, right into when I left to go on my tour of Australia and New Zealand, I was still writing Egypt. So yeah. So
I
it
remember the first
interfered.
night I met you, you talked about that. It was in
Yeah.
the Open Minds Friday night show. I had never
Yes.
met you before, and you prefaced your reading with how incredibly impactful this trip was for you, and then you absolutely blew our minds with your read. And I consider myself to have pretty good vocabulary, and I don't remember what words it was that you used, but you had a couple of words in there that I've never heard before, and I was like, wow. And the thing that has stuck with me ever since I knew that I was going to interview you and talk with you, um, is not, I want to know why Egypt influenced you so much, but I want to know, what was it in life that prepared you for Egypt to be so incredibly powerful for you? Like, what's the backstory of all of that? If that's something that you can share.
Yeah, I can share some of it. I always wanted to go to Egypt when I was a child. I was an extremely avid reader, and I would read anything I could get my hands on. And National Geographic, so it was the used National Geographics from the white public library was sent over to our little colored public library. And in addition to reading all the other books they had, I would check out every National Geographic that came through. One of the places that I saw in there was Egypt, along with a few other places. And I would code that and I would say, I want to go there. I always had dreams, and a very, very evolved imagination, even as a young child. So I always wanted to go, but I kind of, started growing up and other things were going on. And I put it out of my mind until I started traveling as an adult. And I mean, older adult. I was, let's see, I really started traveling across the pond when I was, not until I was 65 years old. So it was really late in life. And one of my friends told me, say, well, you've made up for lost time. I say, I have every intention of continuing to do so as long as I can walk. But anyway, that's how it started. And I finally was able to go. The trip was canceled twice because of the pandemic. I was supposed to go on my birthday to Egypt, February of 2020, right? Because that was my 70th birthday. And of course, they canceled it. That was kind of devastating. But, we all know we had to deal with the pandemic. So 2 years later, I didn't get to go to Egypt. When I was in Egypt, Egypt hit me like no other trip I've taken hit me, because I believe in past lives and reincarnation. So just to put that out there for people, and because of that, I relate very much to that stuff. So I have a heightened sense of consciousness. I'm also on a spiritual path, and have been since 1987. Before that, I was a wild child, a true wild child, getting into all kind of mischief and badness. But that started changing in 87 when I stepped onto a spiritual path. And when I hit Egypt, I knew that I had been there before in many past lives. And in my contemplative exercises, I was seeing visions of my past lives in Egypt. So I started writing, and it was just overwhelming and mind-boggling for me personally at that point. And at first, I wasn't going to share that with people. Then I thought, well, why not? You know, Trying to be sensitive to people's sensibilities, but I just need to say to hell with that and just come out and say, this is where I am, and this is who I am, and that's where I'm going, in terms of my life. I am on a spiritual journey on my way back home to God.
What was the thing? Tell me, I mean, obviously everything hit you, but what was the one thing that you just had anticipated so much, that when you tasted it, smelled it, saw it, felt it, heard it, it just nearly brought you to your knees? What was that thing?
I don't know that I have a specific thing, because I did not have I did not have any preconceived notions about Egypt other than I knew that I would be visiting the uh, uh, the temples and tombs of an ancient civilization. That much I knew, and I didn't do a lot of reading because I don't generally do a lot of reading before I go on a trip. I prefer to do all of the reading when I get back home.
Mhm.
And then they always put you on stimulus overload on a trip. So our tour guide, he was absolutely amazing. He could read the hieroglyphics on the walls inside the tombs and inside the temples. They're hieroglyphics that are 4,000 plus years old, many of them. And he would read that stuff to us, and tell us the story that was being told on the wall. And it was fascinating. But that all of that just wasn't going to stay in my head. Okay. So I had to read about it, a lot of it when I got back home. But what struck me the hardest was when I went to the Valley of the Kings, and we went into the first temple that we went into, and the first temple that tomb rather, I'm sorry, the first tomb we went into in the Valley of the Kings was Ramesses III. And I'm claustrophobic normally, right? But these tombs are so huge that you walk in and the ceilings are, like 8-10 feet tall. So it didn't bother me. But uh, when I walked into that tomb, because that was the first one we visited, I felt a vibration, like I had never had before. But I'm with the group, so I can't isolate really, and I can't tell them what's happening because they wouldn't have understood. And so, yeah, it was overwhelming me, and so I had to try to keep it in check and control, and that's what made me write so much. I think when I would get, especially because we were on the yacht when we visited the Valley of the Kings, and I would get back to the yacht, and I just wanted to write, you know, just wanted to write.
What an amazing inspiration. Now you have explored so much around where you live. And are there not some similar things in New Mexico? Not hieroglyphic per se, but some kind of cave writings or cave
Yeah,
art or
yeah,
something?
this petroglyphs. Yeah, New Mexico. Yeah, New Mexico. I love New Mexico, and New Mexico is a beautiful state. And New Mexico, and I have been an avid hiker, ever since I was in my 30s, really. Recently, in the last few years, I've had to slow down and don't hike as much because I developed asthma. But uh, I was blessed to be able to hike, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, all over New Mexico. And I have been to a lot of ruins. We have a lot of ruins. We could literally be doing a lot of digging here, like they're doing in Egypt, and probably find a lot of the ancient Anasazi Indians. But we do have the petroglyphs, and you will run into those on hikes. And we have Petroglyph National Monument. So, yes, we have that. And so
Is
I
the
was
age
relating to.
similar? Is the some of the age
No,
similar?
no, the petroglyphs are drawings, hand drawings, but they're not as intricate and as complex as the hieroglyphics that you see on the walls, in the tombs and temples in Egypt. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's you almost have to see it. You can see pictures of it, but you almost have to see it in person to be in awe of how amazing that it is. I mean, it's written. It's a total another language. Okay, and like I was saying, our tour guide, he could read it and tell us what the story was that they would be certain walls would be telling us. And what was happening in that point. Okay, because during that, back in that ancient time, of course, uh, the people believed in gods and goddesses, and they believed that the pharaohs were gods. Okay, so you didn't question the gods. So that was just totally fascinating to me.
Is there a poem that you, in particular, came away from? Come Egypt, obviously, I'm assuming the title poem.
That's the
Um,
one. That's the
that's
one that. That's the one that it has taken me almost 2 years to write. I started it actually when I was on AIDA. I wrote 2 or 3 stanzas, really rough. And it's only when I decided to start focusing on it. Actually, right after the poetry summit, the New Mexico Poetry Summit, in September, that Marissa had.
Mhm.
I started focusing on it more because I decided it was time for me to get this book out because it was interfering with the other book that I was writing, because I was working on another book, which I have more than half the poems for already, but I couldn't do them simultaneously. I couldn't cope with that. And so I said, I need to let that go and finish Come Egypt. And it was back in probably before I went to Italy in October, maybe the end of September, that I actually completed Come Egypt. So that is the signature piece for the book, and for me, the most powerful.
It's amazing to me, because I feel like I've had a similar experience, maybe, and maybe some others have as well, that this was a defining moment in your life. This was a Rubicon crossed. And yet it took you, 2 years to write about it. And I wonder if it's difficult for us sometimes, that something that is just sort of rearranges our DNA. It's so powerful. You can't wrap your head around it to get it down on paper. You have to kind of absorb it and live in it and soak in it for a while until you can quantify it into words.
Um, I think, and this is my own personal belief, is that I believe that we only do things when we're personally ready to do them. And so I wasn't ready yet. Okay. And people always say, well, aren't you going to get this book out? I says, it will come out when it is ready to come out. And so I was finally ready to bring this book out. I need to move on from Egypt so I can get into other things, because it's kind of making me crazy. But I wasn't ready, because the experience was so intense, and it's hard to kind of try to describe it for people. And if they've never been there and they've never seen it, or even if they've never seen pictures of it, because there's plenty of pictures of tombs and temples. If you go to YouTube, you can see all kinds of history on ancient Egypt. It's fascinating just looking at the pictures. But wow, if you can go and actually see the actual thing, that's really something. And because of the impact, it has been a distraction for me. Even when I was in Italy, I was thinking about Egypt. And I was just in Italy in October.
And it's wonderful, though. I see the excitement in your eyes when you talk about it, and the quality of your voice when you read Come Egypt to us that night in the open mic was just, you could tell this was something that just truly transformed your life, as he described.
Why don't you let me read it now? Because
Yes.
I have a couple of my readers in the room, and that were gracious and kind enough to read my work ahead of
I'm
time
mute
and
myself. So
write something for me. Both of them, two of them are here, and the two that are here are the ones that were making me walk on water. I love them to death. So let me read Come Egypt, okay? The title of my book is Come Egypt, and so this is the title poem. Come Egypt. All my dreams spill over the waterfall. I watch the blossoms stream down. I see the tombs of gods, goddesses, and pharaohs beckoning my soul to come home. I hear singing in the wind. Come Egypt, come home. I left no trace of the last trail I took before translation. Here I stand today with flutters in my ears. Come Egypt, come home. I tiptoe in the Egyptian desert, gently rest my boots on the ground, bow my head with respect and awe to the wondrous carvings from the sand calling my name. Come Egypt, come home. I am a goddess with angel wings, shaking sand off my feathers as I rise, licking the sand from my hands. Time is calling. Come, Egypt, come home. I have trekked around the sun 4,000 times, plus one, and I hear a voice massaging my soul. Come, Egypt, come home. Nubians dance with an urgency that grabs my attention. Drums of harmony play a homecoming ritual in my name, shouting out loud, "Come, Egypt, come home." I walk in the tomb of Ramesses III, and the hieroglyphics pull at my heart. Resistance is not an option when the stimulus is so strong. Come, Egypt, come home. Your mummy is no longer usable. It crumbles in the atmosphere. You must embrace a new body to bind your soul. Come, Egypt, come home. Cloud crusters cry in my name, flow into my river of radiance. Drenched in your tears, my heart melts in a wave of love. Come, Egypt, come home. The river sings an ode to joy through the millennia. Here we stand on the deck of an Egyptian yacht listening. Come, Egypt, come home. Inhale the wind of the morning river, fold arms around the warmth of hoodies. The morning chill caused the morning brew to assist the sunrise and song. Come, Egypt, come home. Gratitude floats on the deck of Aida for the blessing of this ancient experience. Solitude opens its wings to first light and the delight of the river's flow. The sound current streams. Come, Egypt, come home. The first sighting of morning, a water buffalo stands at the edge of the river staring, slowly chewing its morning milk. I can feel the song in its heart. Come, Egypt, come home. Rose petals etched with the names of beloveds rise from the sand. I cannot get you out of my dreams. Walking meditations along the Nile River, vibrations in the breeze enfold me. Come, Egypt, come home. When evening bends the light rays across the river, the water whispers just beneath the surface. Come, Egypt, come home. The river's musical surge makes me breathe deep in my soul. My ears twinkle like stars, overflowing with energy. I hear, come, Egypt, come home. I bow in reverence at the water's edge. A blanket of earth supports this river as it stumbles over words to spell grace. Come, Egypt, come home. A colored girl's muse rises from his ashes, flies above the river, and speaks in the tongue of a goddess. Come, Egypt, come home. She opens her mouth wide. The breakfast of a tongue sings without resistance. Come, Egypt, come home. Your legs tremble under the weight of your visions. Your heart is in overdrive. Someone, please take my hand. Come, Egypt, come home. How can this be such a powerful plea after 4,000 plus years? I know not the voice singing for me, but I feel the purity and innocence of the call from the temple walls. Come, Egypt, come home. Which one of you standing here with me, stain these temple walls with life colors, hear the call like a prayer? Come, Egypt, come home. Thank you.
Wow, Teresa. Thank you. So I love the line at I love the whole thing, obviously, but I love the line at the beginning. I left no trace of the trail I took before translation.
Yes, that's correct. Here I
I
stand today with flutters in my ears.
and I left no I love that. Just the metaphor of that is so incredible. I love that. And then what's the line near the end about a colored girl and your muse?
I'm trying to find which one. I know what
I'm
you're talking about. My memory is not worth a shit, excuse my French. So I have to go look. I was trying to learn this poem for the last couple of weeks. It will not stay in my head. A colored girl's muse rises from its ashes, flies above the river and speaks in the tongue of the goddess.
I love that. And when I hear that, I picture this little girl in Shreveport, Louisiana, you know, sitting on her bedroom floor, books strewn all around her.
That's almost about right. I would have when I would go to the library, I would check out as many as they let me. And it's usually about 6 or 8 books at a time.
And then let me guess, you read them so fast.
I did. I read. I used to read to my mom. Most of the time the parent reads to the kid, but I guess my mom made me read to her, so I would learn to read and get better at it. So, and she praised me for it, and I became quite the performer, in reading for her. So I was never afraid to read, as a result. It's something she instilled in me.
And you are quite the character. I mean, the first time that we met you in the Open Minds open mic, you had this reserve, right?
I'm wickedly mischievous. That's true. I'm guilty.
You do. You have a
But
sparkle.
I love this new family. I love this new family because I like messing with some of them, especially Ja in the morning on 707. I was hoping he'd show up because I was going to mess with him, but I just love messing with him,
And you are 74. You're about to be 75, and you have absolutely embraced this electronic community. Just as you've embraced traveling, you have jumped right in with both feet, made friends. And I know you say that you're not technologically savvy, but you're figuring your way around all of it. You're doing great.
That's because I got all of you all holding my hand. I just follow help. I can't figure this out, and I'm getting stressed out. And somebody usually helps me.
So obviously Egypt has been incredibly impactful for you, but you've also been to some other places that are very unique. Besides Egypt, what would you say is the most unusual or interesting thing that you've experienced or seen when you've been on one of your trips?
Oh my goodness, that's a tough question because every country I've gone to is a country that I wanted to go to because there was something there specifically that I wanted to see. The country usually when I go to a country there are a lot of other things I see, but there's usually got to be this one major thing, that I must see. For instance, when I went to Peru, I had to see Machu Picchu. I had to see Machu Picchu, that was required, that kind of thing. When I went to Jordan, I had to see Petra. When I went to Morocco, I wanted to see the Sahara Desert and I wanted to ride a camel in the desert, which I did. Everybody else wasn't as happy with that concept, but that was the most exciting thing for me, was riding that camel for the first time in the Sahara Desert.
Did the camel spit?
I say I've done the Triple Crown. I rode my first camel in Morocco, my second camel at Petra in Jordan, and my third camel in Egypt. And so my Egypt camel's name was King. And of course I wrote a poem about King and me,
That is, you want to read that? I would love to hear about King.
Oh goodness, I didn't.
Now I have to ask, were these one hump camels or two hump camels?
One hump.
One hump. It looks so awkward to be on top of a one hump camel. It seems like it would be more comfortable, sitting between the two humps, like you have something to grab onto.
No, they put the thing on top, the what do you call it? It's not a saddle, but it's like a thing that sits up. So it's not a problem.
I think I would call it the last thing you hold on to before you kiss your ass goodbye.
Well, they don't let you ride the camel by yourself. The person who owns the camel is guiding you up the trail or whatever on it. You're on the camel, but they're in the front, so it can't get away. Yeah. Okay.
King.
Yeah, I found it. Here it is. King and I. He is black velvet, smooth as the midnight sky, proud of his four-legged humpback with a smile of ancient dignity. He grants me the privilege to ride his ship of the desert in exchange for a few golden coins. His camel's name is King. King and the beautiful Nubian escort me up the trail. He is happy. King is happy. I am ecstatic riding this Nubian's camel on sacred ancient land. The beauty of those wonderful creatures is their smile with heads held high. I expose my joyful smile in communion with King.
That is wonderful. And I'm sure you charmed that camel the way that you have charmed all of us. Did you ever think when you were a little girl in Shreveport that you would have all of these amazing adventures? Did you know that you were going to do that?
No, of course not. I just dreamed a lot though. I was a tomboy, so I was always climbing trees. And one of the things that my mother told me when I got older always terrified me, but she was always afraid to say anything because she thought I'd fall, is I would like to climb up in the pecan tree in the backyard and dangle my legs hanging on the branches. So I'm dangling down, right? And I'd be up there daydreaming, which is a very dangerous thing because daydreaming. I could have fallen, broken my neck or legs or something. But fortunately, there was somebody taking care of me at a higher level, you know. But she said she would look out the window, and there I was dangling from the tree. And sometimes she'd have to scream at me real loud before she could get my attention because I was off traveling in my head, you know.
You were already there. You were already
Yes,
there.
yes.
It's easy to dream. We all have dreams, but it takes a special kind of person to put dreams into action. And you are a very accomplished woman. You have your master's degree. You're very well educated. You've had a very strong and long professional career. You have done so many amazing things. And I'm sure you've had the opportunity to see the good sides of things and the bad sides of things. And I know that you have some passions. Are there any causes or charities that you support or would like to talk about?
Um, some people tell me I am political, but I don't consider myself political because I have strong feelings about the environment. So, you know, uh, I have supported causes that involve the environment quietly. I don't like to talk about causes that I support. I supported when I was younger many civil rights causes, which I'm not currently doing. And I have since I was in my 20s been supporting children in Africa. I usually support one at a time, so I call them my children far away. And also when I lived in Springfield, I supported a couple of kids in Springfield who were less fortunate. One of the things that I was blessed with, in spite of the fact that we were poor financially as I was growing up as a child, rich in love. But one of the things that my mother made sure of was that I always had a brand new pair of shoes to start the school year and a couple of new outfits. That's very important, you know, for a child. And I had all the stuff I needed for my books and supplies and all that stuff. So there's two kids I used to support in Springfield because they were from poor families and there were quite a few of them, but I chose one from each family and I would take them shopping every year at the beginning of the year from the time that they were like in first grade up until about 6 or 7. But I didn't try to interfere much else in their life because when you're dealing with people's children and parents, they're crazy, you know. But these children really needed help, so they didn't object to that. So I would take these kids shopping. It was amazing. Their little eyes would be so shiny and bright. I got them a pair of shoes. I would get them a couple of outfits and all the school supplies at the beginning of all the year. And then at Christmas, I always got them Christmas presents. And then at Easter, I always made sure, especially the little girls, that they got an Easter dress. That's very important. you know. So I did that I was in Springfield for 10 years. Yeah, I did that for every year. And then once they reach 18, I tell them, go away. I don't want to see you until you become a true adult. Come back to me when you're 40 and you know. But so I had one of those kids actually find me not too long ago. And he has turned into a very fine young man. And he said he was desperate to find me. You never know what impact you're having on people, especially children. He said, I wanted to find you because I wanted to say thank you. That meant so much, because I hadn't even thought about that for years, because he's like in his 40s now, young ones like you are.
I love that. I love that you chose to do that. And it's to me it speaks to what I already know about you, that you're not one to sort of sit back and view things externally. You're going to get into the heart of things and put both feet into it and do it with every ounce of your being. And of course, you would do good works in the community the exact same way that you tackle your travels and everything else. I need to know, what was your favorite pair of shoes when you were a little girl? All the shoes.
My back patent leather shoes that I always had for Easter.
I love those. They're so cute. And
But
do girls even have patent leather shoes anymore?
I don't
I don't
know.
think we do them anymore. In fact,
this
the
was
whole Easter
this,
dress thing has gone away too, right?
I don't know. This was in the 50s, so I don't know. I had patent leather shoes and white ruffle socks and white ruffle panties.
Well, I mean, I was a child of the 70s and I had that too when I was little. I
I
loved
still
that.
had it in the 70s. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Your Easter dress and your Easter basket and your little ruffled socks.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, do you cook? Are you a big cook?
No, absolutely not. I don't even want to discuss that with you.
Because you think of Louisiana as being a place of
I was born and raised in Louisiana, and I ate good. I had all of it. I mean, I had, you name it, I had it. The gumbo, the jambalaya, the red beans rice, the collard greens, fried chicken on Sunday. I had all of that growing up. Yes, but I don't know how to cook it. No.
So when I come to New Mexico, I should not ask you to make me red beans and rice.
Oh, well, if you come, you can cook the red beans and rice for me.
I will do it. I will do it. I love to cook. I would be happy to do that for you. So the New Mexico poetry scene sounds like it's very, very vibrant. And, you're having this big event in September, which I assume is something that has gone on year after year. Tell me about your involvement with that.
Oh, no, I'm not going to say too much about the New Mexico poetry scene, but to say that there are a lot of poets in New Mexico. But the New Mexico Poetry Summit is something that Marissa did, and that was the first time last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that were from all over the country, not the New Mexico poets, but the people that came from all over the country, and that was amazing. And I got to meet all these wonderful people, some of whom I knew online, but most I didn't. And it was like a family coming together. And the part that struck me more so than the poetry was on Sunday night when Marissa has this beautiful backyard. We broke bread together, because Marissa is one hell of a cook. You know, she's a little master chef, and she had cooked the whole meal for, I think it was about 40 was there. Maybe Stacy could help me out. She was there, about 40 or some odd people there, and it was absolutely amazing. And we read poetry to each other, and just uh what's the word I'm looking for? What they do after church. They just come together,
Yeah.
I lost the word I was looking for.
Wonderful fellowship.
Fellowship, that's what I was looking for. And they have a wonderful fellowship, and that's what this was. It was just an absolutely amazing fellowship. And because of the other people that came, they loved it so much. They said, you got to do this again next year, Marissa. So So she's doing it again. So September 13th, 14th, and 15th. Put it on your calendar, Whisper. I'd like to meet you in person.
I would love to
Yeah.
come there. I'm going to try to make that happen. It sounds like
Yeah,
an amazing.
let's try to make it happen. Start saving your pennies now. Try to
Save
make
the
it.
penny. Mama Teresa said so. I have to do it now.
That's right.
So, you've got this new trip coming up. Is there another trip maybe on the horizon after that? Do you still have places on your bucket list?
Yeah. My bucket list is endless. I will translate and go on to heaven. Still working on my bucket list. My next trip is to South Africa, which will be in November.
That is that's my bucket list right there. That's the one. So I definitely need to hear that book of poetry, and I have to imagine that one is going to be just as spectacular as I know Come Egypt is going to be. When is Come Egypt actually dropping? What's the date on that?
Well, I'm on target. I'm on schedule, and all my readers have sent me all their stuff, which is beautiful. Ahead of schedule because I had asked for it from them by the 25th of January, and I have all of it already. And I was just talking to my publisher yesterday, and he said send it next week because he was taking a little trip. So I'll be sending my manuscript with all my stuff to him next week. And then I told him I don't want to hear from him until February 23rd when I get back home from Costa Rica.
Get all of the details done and then
So
go have
we're targeting
fun.
April 1st. We're targeting April 1st. He says, I think we'll be able to do it. We're targeting April 1st as the launch date.
Fantastic. And do you have any public appearances or anything like that scheduled for this? Or what does that look like?
No, I don't. I might try to do something once I know for sure it's going to come out April 1st. Then I might try to see if I can get something scheduled. But right now, I don't have anything scheduled. No.
Well, I can't wait to.
Maybe you can help me. Maybe you can help me get on Zoom because I have no clue how to do it, and help me launch it on Zoom. Maybe.
Well, we talked about that. Like, we need to see you when you're gone. We need to see you, and you can do Zoom on your phone. So we need to see you, and I will have to. You and I will have to have another like 1 a.m. conversation where we figure out that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to hear another poem. I know everyone else would too. Do you have anything else that you would love to grace us with?
Yeah, I want to read something from. I decided I'm in the mood to read from my heritage, and it's from my book Chasing Light. It's called Wedding Picture. Mama, Papa, I look at your wedding picture, serious, full of youth. I wonder what you were like before my emergence into your life. Were you filled with hopes and dreams? Were you happy simply to break bread together? What was the subject that brought you to this pose? The 1940s would not have embraced your union. Your prescription was not released to the public. Mama, a Nubian princess, and Papa, a French prince riding a white stallion into the forest of Jim Crow with a stringent land policy. Colors do not mix, must remain separate. I look at your picture, it does not tell the agony and ecstasy of blending colors on your life canvas. Here I stand, 70 and some change, settling into my twilight years, looking at your wedding picture, and I wonder. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Are your mom and dad still alive?
No, they're both deceased. Both deceased.
It sounds like you had a really strong and wonderful relationship with your parents.
I did. I was very blessed to have very, very loving parents. And I was only child, so I was spoiled.
Were you a writer early on?
Not really. I used to write things every now and then, but nothing serious, every once something here and there and hand it to
Mhm.
my mom. I think she lost it because when I was going through her stuff, I couldn't find it. And I know she had kept it for a long time. But yeah,
Did they get to see the publishing of your first book?
not my father, but my mother did.
Mhm.
Yeah, my mother did, but my father was deceased in 2000 and I mean in 1993, and my mother passed in 2020 during COVID.
Yeah. Now, were they creative people?
Uh, my mother sang, if that's creative.
Absolutely, yes.
And, my mother was a devout African American Episcopal, AME.
Mhm.
Michael can probably relate to that.
So you were in church. You were in church every Sunday, scrubbed
uh,
clean with probably
I
had some
was,
cute
yeah,
pigtails.
I was raised in church. My mother was a devout AME. My father's family was devout Catholic, and my mother's sister was married to a devout Baptist preacher. So I was
There was
overwhelmed
no
with all
shortage of
of it,
church.
all
Yeah.
of it, growing up as a child
Mhm.
in the South.
Now, you as an adult are free spirit is maybe
That's right. That's right.
the so
I
how
respect,
did evolution
huh?
occur? How did that
I, res-
evolution?
I respect all religions, and I always used to say, or standing far enough from my mama so she couldn't slap me, was that I had had enough church to last me a lifetime. Once I left and came back home from college, but that's not something you say standing close to my mama, at the time in my twenties, in my twenties, being sassy. And so when I would come home, I would go to church. But once I went to college, I stopped. And that's when I found my spiritual path later on afterwards, after I finished college. I think I've always been a seeker all my life. And it became more intense once I left college.
Mhm. That's interesting that you use that word. That is absolutely the word that I have sort of
Yeah,
applied to you in my mind, that you are a seeker of truth and knowledge and
right.
wonderful.
So
Mhm.
I read everything, I verify everything for myself. I respect other people's opinions, but I don't automatically accept them. I just respect them because I need to verify for myself.
Mhm. Mhm. But a spiritual path, you've got your whole metaphysical thing, but you're also very, very moved by the physical world. The physical world, so much of what you write, we are experiencing the physical world through your eyes. And so, do you view the experience of the physical world as a pathway to the spiritual?
Yes, yes. I believe that we are all here because we have come back after one reincarnation after the other in order to learn, okay, to love. And then when I say love, I don't mean just romantic love, but learn to love and be of service, okay, to a higher purpose. And most of us are not there, and that's okay. And I also believe we have many, many paths. That's why we have so many religions, because whatever one you need to be a part of, that's the one you will take on when you come into this life. I also believe that we choose our parents, you know, for a reason and for a lesson. Okay. And I can say all of this because on here because people can't argue with me. So I can
I'm
say how I
I'm
feel. I can say
I'm
how I feel about
laughing.
it all.
I'm laughing to myself
I'm
because
being mischievous now. I'm being
both of my
mischievous
parents
now.
are Geminis and I'm a Pisces. So if I chose my parents, it means I'm a masochist. I
I
love my mom and dad, but
yeah.
I do laugh about both of them being Geminis. But you're an old soul. You're a Pisces, and if
Yes,
one
I am. I'm a
subscribes
very old
to,
soul.
yeah, it means you're kind of farther along on this journey, than some are, and you
You know,
definitely have wisdom of the ages?
I don't look at it as further along. I am where I'm supposed to be. You're where you're supposed to be. And each and every other individual is where they're supposed to be. So to me, there's no such thing as being further along than anyone else. I'm just at a different point on the road, and that perhaps you're going to come down the same road I came, or you're going to go down a different road. Either way, it's okay, because if you don't learn to love and be of service, you get to come back,
And do it
okay,
again.
and do it again until you learn. So you keep getting the lessons. So when people keep coming into your life, even if it's negative, they keep coming in, Spirit keeps bringing them back into your life until you learn the lesson that you have to learn, okay? And once you learn that lesson, then you don't have to have them keep coming back into your life, because a lot of times I used to ask myself when I was younger, before I got on the spiritual path, why does this keep happening to me over and over and over again? Well, the main reason for me is because I'm so damn stubborn, okay? And so I had to keep learning the lesson over and over again till I get it. And then whatever it was would leave me alone. And I'm still working on things. We all are. We all have things that we're all working on. We all have issues. And my issues are no greater than anybody else's, because each person's issues are very personal. And so I wish nothing but positive energy and everything for anybody and everybody. One of the things I've learned after 74 years, I'm not quite 74, be in a few weeks, is to learn forgiveness of myself and forgiveness of others. Okay. That's been a hard lesson for me, because in my 20s, I wasn't very forgiving. I wanted to beat everybody up who make me mad, but not anymore. I have no desire to do that. I have no desire at all to do that. Which brings me to something I wanted to bring up. I don't know if we're going to get into it, but I had someone ask me about war. I think it was a week or two ago. And I wanted to respond to them with this poem, okay? But I didn't have my book with me. So I'd like to read this poem to the group, because it's my response. It's my response to war, okay? And I wrote this poem, I think it's like back during the Iraqi war, something like that. It was back during those times, okay? And it's titled A Yearning for Peace. I have lived many lives, lived and died in many battles. I fought in the Peloponnesian Wars with Genghis Khan, the Crusades, the 100 Years' War, the Napoleonic Wars, the Revolutionary War, World War II. Always a mighty soldier in battle, dedicated to the cause of death and destruction, recycling the violence, bringing to each reincarnation another cloud of devastation. I have lived many lives and died in many battles. Now I face the 21st century filled with the stench of blood, murder, and unspeakable crimes to humanity, tired and ready for a truce. I challenge mankind to embrace the most difficult task ever, to sit at the table of peace. Is anybody listening? Is anybody ready to join me? Since my last rebirth, there has been a Korean War, a Vietnam War, a Gulf War, an Iraqi War, and numerous conflicts across the earth. My consciousness is rising. I see peace and a distant star out in the universe waiting. A light circles that star, calls my name every time I go to the mountains. I want to fly away in the arms of my spiritual guide, but I still have hope that the children of the earth will sit in a peaceful conclave and say no to war. If they do not, I see a planet devoid of flesh, destroyed by a human tsunami. I have lived many lives, lived and died in many battles. I don't want to war anymore.
Thank you, Teresa. Light just beams out of you. You're just one of those people that light just beams out of you. And I have so enjoyed getting to know you. I have so enjoyed our conversation today. You have been just such a wonderful, open, kind, wise, fabulous person. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your work with us, for sharing your story, your journey. And I can't wait to hear more. I fully expect that I'm going to be hearing when you're 90 years old, that you are still getting on a plane and going somewhere. And I can't wait to hear about that.
As long as I can walk. And who knows what the future holds. I'm not worrying about it. I'm just living in the moment now. That's another thing I've learned too, is I've been learning and getting real good at. And I think the reason why the lesson was so hard and I learned it so well since was because my mother had dementia, right? And as she deteriorated and got worse and worse the last couple of years, I had to learn to live in the moment. And I had to learn to live in the moment that she was in and flow with that. That was the most difficult journey, but I learned it and I've learned it well. So as a result of that, I don't hardly have any trouble living in the moment anymore. That doesn't mean that I don't have issues, and I have issues that I have to work on, because I do have a lot. But when I look back in retrospect, I realize that I have come so far, because I've been so bad, and so I have come so far in progress toward finding my way back home on the path.
And you have
To
come
love,
home. You have come
to come
home.
home, to
You
come
have
home.
an amazing book about to drop. So before we close out, I just want to talk about real quick where people can find your work, because they need to read it. Come Egypt is dropping in April, and refresh my memory on the name of your publisher and their website.
Inner Child Press. Inner Child Press. Catalyst, do you have this? I sent it. Do you have it available to pull? I sent all my information.
I can post it in chat for sure.
Can you post it in chat for me? Because I don't want to get stressed out trying to find it right now. But I sent it. I sent it.
Are you on Amazon too? Amazon as well?
You can get it on. Yeah, you can get my work on Amazon. Yeah, for Amazon, just type in Teresa, Teresa E, as in Elizabeth, Teresa E. Gallion, Gallion. And that'll bring up my books on Amazon. But if you go to Inner Child Press, you can also get them there from my publisher. If you go to my website, it'll take you to my publisher also. And my website is teresagallion.yolasite.com. You have that right. I think Catalyst is putting this stuff in the chat right now.
Yes. And Instagram, Teresae E. Gallion.
No, yeah. Well, it should be at Gallion, Gallion, Teresae E, for my Instagram account.
And on Friday nights, you are a regular on Open Minds Open Mic, which is in this Zoom channel at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to hear her live, she's usually showing up unless she's gallivanting, but we're going to fix that. We're going to help you figure out how to do Zoom from your phone.
I've come more to Monday night too, actually Monday night. And also Mr. Witz, who naked up in here? Mr. Witz on Wednesday. Mr. Witz on Wednesday.
Yes, absolutely. Teresa, thank you so much. It has been an absolute blast talking to you. I knew that we would have fun, and I'm so glad that everyone here got to experience it. We're going to upload this to YouTube, so all of your fans will get to see it as well. And just wish you all the best, and can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. On behalf of the whole team at Open Minds, Open Mic, the amazing Catalyst. Whoop, whoop.
And thank you guys for coming. I recognize everybody.
Yes. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Please go to YouTube and subscribe. It is Heart of the Artist, the Heart of the Artist 143. So please go to YouTube and subscribe. Watch us each week. It has just been such an amazing journey so far, talking to these fabulous women like Debbie Siegel. I see you. She was our very first guest. I'm not sure if Ma Dukes is in the room. Last week
She is. Ma Dukes is there. I see Ma Dukes.
Fantastic. Poet Sophia Falco. I know she was here earlier for a bit. Next week, we have Christy Scribbles. We just have some amazing women in this community, and we're having such a great time talking to you all, getting to know you. Marianne Teft, you're going to be on my birthday. So just fantastic, amazing stuff. Thank you all.
Marianne, put up the Inner Child Teresa link in the chat. I don't know if everyone can see the chat from their screen, but go and grab that. And it looks like Inner Child is a pretty cool press to go and look at, but I did find your particular Teresa page. So yeah, please, everybody, go to your chat.
Yeah, you have to go to my author page if you go into Inner Child Press, because he's got so many.
I just did that. I just totally did that. If everyone would like to look at their chat before we conclude this, they can click that and they can go straight to your Inner Child Teresa Gallion page over there. It was straightforward for me to do from my browser. So there you have it.
I did tell you before we started, Teresae E Gallion, you pop right up, and everyone needs to buy your books. Come Egypt, dropping in April. Chasing Light. What was that? You've got another. What was the other one?
Scent of Love.
Scent of
Contemplation in the High Desert.
Yes. So good things. All right, everyone. I think this wraps us up. Thank you so much for being with us today. We love you all. As always, got to do the heart. We love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Heart of the Artist. Love you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Love you too. Bye-bye.